let's go to the movies. The greatest medium for entertainment the world has ever known.
Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to address how the digital revolution changed filmmaking. The digital revolution, which is also considered the third industrial revolution, describes the shift from mechanical and analog technologies to digital ones. The digital revolution has subsequently put high-quality media production tools in the hands of an unprecedented amount of people. I'm interested in how this has affected the film industry and how it'll continue to affect the independent film scene through the democratization of filmmaking. Filmmaking, by which I'm referring to the production of feature-length fictional films, has since its inception been a very financially exclusionary craft reserved for the rich. The level of wealth required to make independent films was, and partly remains, close to unobtainable for the vast majority of people. This separates it from many other art forms that have a less costly barrier to entry, like singing or painting. Due to the amount of people and equipment you needed to make films, you couldn't just have a crack at it to try it out.
Hollywood, California, USA, where 30,000 specialists working in 272 separate arts and crafts, sciences and trades make the movies.
However, the changes produced by the digital revolution made filmmaking tools drastically cheaper and easier to use, therefore making the art form as a whole more accessible. Digital video cameras were probably the first step in what would become the arms race for prosumer video camera technology. From a film industry perspective, this had absolutely no bearing on how they shot films. Nothing changed. Physical celluloid film was the undisputed champion. However, eventually when the visual quality of the digital image became usable at an industry level, the never-ending film versus digital debate became heavily discussed. Ask Deakins, he loves talking about it.
I'm fed up with this conversation. I think it's what's in the frame and
it always is, isn't
how
it?
you light it.
Technical advancements have always strongly affected cinema in terms of style, accessibility, and industry. One commonly mentioned example is the lighter cameras, which allowed for free-flowing handheld shots, such as in some French New Wave films. The digital revolution of camera technology is, in my opinion, a very significant part of recent cinematic history. The key advantage of digital camera technology is practicality and flexibility. Suddenly your footage is easier to store and copy, and it isn't destroyed because someone opened the wrong reel. On top of that, your team can be smaller and you can make significant reversible changes in post-production. And then some other improvements include excellent low-light capabilities and smaller form factors for cameras. So now the industry predominantly uses digital due to some of these advantages. Pair that with affordable mass production and a market of hungry filmmakers, and today you can afford a camera that can arguably compete in terms of image quality with professional equipment. You could say though, in terms of image quality, camera tech has plateaued in a way. The focus is now on ludicrous resolutions and smooth in-body image stabilization and intelligent autofocus. As a side note, I'd like to remind you that format does not trump artistic merit. This point often gets lost in discussions about the accessibility of artistic technology. Naturally, improving the quality of the technology available to aspiring artists will not improve the quality of art. Aiming to produce perfect images, technically speaking, is an incredibly narrow and reductionistic view of what art should be. To me, the priority of developing artistic technology should be to increase accessibility, which is why I think that we've reached a really significant milestone in that we've approached a point where you can achieve high-quality cinematic imagery as a solo shooter. No big crew required, just you and a camera. And this is, in my opinion, the most interesting part of the topic. It's the democratization of filmmaking. The digital revolution puts a decent camera in almost anyone's hands. So now we should start seeing the vision of waves of artists who otherwise would never have had the opportunity to express themselves in this artistic medium, right? Well, there's a catch to this large amount of people being able to create. We're drowning in a sea of audiovisual garbage. We've opened the floodgates to unique visions, but also welcomed droves of mediocrity. This is where I ask the question, is this the greatest opportunity audiovisual artists have ever had? Or is this in fact the most difficult time to be heard amongst the noise? Most probably both. This issue permeates across industries. It's the same for independent artists in the music industry. It's easier than ever to make music, and it's harder than ever to get discovered. Of course, this has always been an issue. As technology improves, things become more accessible, and so there's a larger proportion of the growing population to compete with. Not even just in terms of talent, but just sheer noise and volume. But there are also more audiences than ever to show your work to. You have the possibility to build your own global audience and completely circumvent the traditional film industry from the comfort of your own home. The digital revolution, along with major industry changes like the explosion of streaming platforms and the integration of AI, has caused a lot of disruption. But if you're starting out, disruptions are good. Disruptions are opportunities. If you're a filmmaker, try to keep an eye on the advances happening in the industry. It could be the very thing that makes one of your unrealistic projects achievable. If you're a producer, look at these digital doorways. There are more opportunities than ever to find new ways of financing and distributing films. And then, I almost forgot to talk about the elephant in the room, AI. ChatGPT can write you a script. Runway can generate moving images based off of a written description. Firefly is apparently a colorist and an assistant editor wrapped in one. It's a lot. AI is going to change all industries, and the film industry is no exception. It's hard to tell exactly how much of an impact it'll have, but we're seeing new applications of it on a daily basis. I think it's something we just have to learn how to use and see how it can complement how we work. I've used AI for visual effects elements on a project, and it was interesting and challenging. But I'm really worried about how it might replace gifted artists with mediocre derivative art just because it's cheaper and easier. On that depressing note, remember that the only thing that will save you from drowning in the sea of bad art is your artistic vision. Your integrity and taste are independent of the capabilities of AI or the ever-growing amount of people hitting record right now. This is the thing you need to nurture and fortify. Not everyone has to agree with you, but you have to know what you believe in so that you can stand firm when you need to protect your vision. Other key aspects of the digital revolution I didn't really mention include accessible editing software, CGI, and the plethora of digital tools for film production. Script writing software, scheduling software, breakdown tools, production management platforms. The digital tools developed around film development, production, and post-production have really come a long way. Overall, it seems a bit too early to tell how the digital revolution is affecting new voices entering the industry at this point in time, because they're still developing now. But I think in maybe a decade, we'll see some really interesting voices that were a product of having access to these tools at this time. And that's really exciting. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.